Hello. We're doing a little bit of a stream. And let's see. Who do we got out there? Anyone out there at all? I am talking to you, YouTube land. But no one is listening. Okay. Oh, do we have somebody? Looks like we do. No name though. Johnny O in the house. What's going on, Johnny? You are the only one here. Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more of a turnout, but yeah. More people coming in. So how's everybody doing tonight? Out there in the YouTube lands. It's my second live stream. SSDD, editing videos and such. I got you. Working on anything interesting? Anything new going on? Because not a lot's going on with me at the moment. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do for my next video. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was expecting a few more people to be watching. So, not much of a live stream without any audience participation. Because I do have a few things I want to talk about, but what's the point if no one's actually watching? Oh, there's my Casey. There is my beautiful and amazing Casey. She is there. She doesn't let me down because she is the awesomest. Not to worry, because everyone else is late too, but you're earlier than most. So what else is going on? How's it? So much penis, too many damn frames. Uh-oh. What's that about? Tell me what that's in reference to. Hello, Brandon Worrell. What is going on, man? You are a new subscriber. Thank you very much for subscribing. I just saw that today. So, yeah, it looks like people are starting to come in. Excellent. I was hoping I wouldn't be sitting here by myself. Johnny O is working on tomorrow's dingleberries. And one of the videos is a naked dude. Uh-oh. Do you having to censor that for YouTube's the YouTubes. Hello, Charlie Welch as well. Excellent. Awesome. Awesome. Glad everybody's here. Glad everybody's here. So, yeah. I do have a couple things to talk about. Is anyone in here an Indiana Jones fan? Casey, I know she is, because she's got great taste. Because there is a new Indiana Jones movie filming, Indiana Jones 5, untitled yet, but there has been some crap going on already. We're going to take a look at that. I don't know if you guys have seen much about it, but what happened was there was a guy on Twitter who had posted his opinions on the subject. And we're going to take a look at that really quickly. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but we've got, let's see. We've got a few things to look at that I have prepared, some prepared images, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. How Raiders of the Lost Nursing Home, exactly. Yeah, the alien thing was definitely weird. That's a big thing that this new movie has going against it, because of how the second one was so poorly received. And let's see. This is only my second stream, so I'm getting the screen share thing going on. And I thought I could just do like a screen share for like my picture viewer, but I guess it's not that user friendly. Black Summer Season 2 out today. Very cool. I don't know what that is though. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let me adjust that. Okay. So we've got this picture here. Let me go back. Okay, so we have this picture here. This is what happened. This guy, Matthew Kadish, he does a podcast, and he posted this tweet on Twitter. Anyone thinking that Indiana Jones might be good, Indiana Jones 5 might be good, let me just point out, number one, Steven Spielberg is not directing. That is true. That is something you want to consider. Number two, Kathleen Kennedy is producing. Also true. Not a good way to, have your movie going, as the Star Wars movies have, kind of pointed out. Three, Harrison Ford is 78 years old. So I love Harrison Ford. I love Indiana Jones, but yeah, 78 years old. There's this is not the movie for him. 4, it's written by Jonathan Kasdan, who wrote Solo. That's not actually true, but he was part of it at one point. So he posts this, and the director, James Mangold, comes across it somehow, and he like has some kind of flip out on this guy. And he responds back, "Thanks, Matt," and responds to each one of the points. 1, keep making the world a better place, crapping on things in the first week of production from your basement. So he jumps straight to the basement dweller insult, which, that's just lazy. You should have some kind of, better jab if you're going to go after somebody. You being a director of James Mangold's quality, because he is a good director. I've got Ford versus Ferrari on 4K. That's awesome. Me and Casey watched that and had a great time. I didn't watch Logan though. I've heard that's really good, but I just don't care for that kind of story. And historically, the director shitting on the fan base for a movie coming out historically has not been a good move. It doesn't work. This has happened with Ghostbusters 2016, which got annihilated, got destroyed. Might have ended Paul Feig's movie directing career. Has he directed a movie since? Because he got on Dan Aykroyd's bad side, and as well as Sony's, because he spent a buttload of money, and that movie flopped. All right, you want to come on and talk about it? Let's, yeah, okay. Yeah, might as well. Give me just a second. How do I get you a link, though? And Rob likes Logan. That's completely fine. Charlie Welch loves Logan, too. So there's some James Mangold appreciation out there. Let's see. Yeah, Rob says there are only 3 Indiana Jones movies in Rob world. No, that's the real world. Everyone else who thinks there may have been a 4th Indiana Jones movie, they're just in some kind of delusion. And let's see. Brandon says the Temple of Doom was a favorite of mine. And just can't pick one because they all rock. Yeah, Temple of Doom is pretty good. My favorite is actually The Last Crusade. No, Brandon, I'm not on Twitter. But The Last Crusade is my favorite Indiana Jones movie. I understand that Raiders of the Lost Ark is probably the best of the 3 movies. Last Crusade is a bit derivative of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it's hard to get past the chemistry that Harrison Ford and Sean Connery have together. It's like, the cinematic equivalent of like chocolate and peanut butter. All right, so James Mangold, in his infinite wisdom, responds to him all of this guy's points. And so he does the basement dweller insult. Number 2, never seen a script by John, nothing against him, just reality. Butterworth. I'm not sure what the Butterworth means, but, clever zinger anyway. So James Mangold is writing it with probably his writing partner or whatever. I'm not sure who that is, but I think he's writing it with a partner. So, yeah, maybe the writing is good. 1 through 3 are hugely talented and all at my side. Are they really, James Mangold? And Rob Parks, that is right. My email address is primeredyt@gmail.com. So let me know when you have an email sent out to me, and I can send you a link if you'd like. So we're gonna go on. Okay, 1 through 3 are all hugely talented and at my side. Okay, so number 1, Steven Spielberg. I think we can all agree, definitely has some talent, although maybe Steven Spielberg's over the hill a bit. When was his last good movie? What do you guys think? Because it probably would have been, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what it would be myself, because he really has done some great movies. Indiana Jones, of course. Jaws. I own Jaws on 4K Blu-ray. If you guys haven't seen 4K Blu-rays, definitely got to get on those. They look fucking amazing. And if you have an Atmos, Dolby Atmos sound bar or sound system, even better. I have a Dolby Atmos sound bar, and that's awesome. Rob Parks says Schindler's List, which is an excellent choice. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I have that on 4K Blu-ray. That is awesome too. That's a great movie. The Close Encounters of the Third Kind may have made Spielberg because there's a lot of like his famous like vista scenes, and his looking at his people staring at things in awe, which would go into Jurassic Park, which Charlie Welch points out, which is another awesome movie. A lot of not so good sequels to Jurassic Park. One which Steven Spielberg did himself, Jurassic World. Not the best of the sequels, probably not, because they all steadily go down. So, yeah, even if Steven Spielberg was directing it, these days it's kind of a dice roll whether we're going to get a good movie out of it or not. Kathleen Kennedy is producing, so Kathleen Kennedy producing doesn't really mean anything, because a producer is basically someone who just gets money for the production. Kathleen Kennedy, when she worked on the original Indiana Jones movies, she was a glorified secretary. She doesn't do anything creative. I don't think she has a creative bone in her body. But if you feel like proving me wrong, absolutely go ahead and make your case. I'll certainly listen to that. Harrison Ford is 78 years old, so I love Harrison Ford, but Harrison Ford is he's done. I mean, he's been phoning it in for, I don't know, probably 20 years or so. Ever since the new millennium rolled over. Has there been an iconic Harrison Ford movie after the year 2000? I know you're going to say Hollywood Homicide, but no. Let's see. Rob Parks mentions Ready Player One, which was fun. And let's see. I never watched Ready Player One. So a fun movie is not necessarily a good movie, though. Poltergeist, yeah, that's another one. Another very good choice. But yeah. Harrison Ford, yeah, I don't know if he's up to it anymore. I really don't. Okay, so James Mangold's still going on his tear against this guy, but he gets this other guy to kind of like cheerlead for him. Yeah, officially Steven Spielberg didn't direct Poltergeist, like Johnny O points out, but probably Ghost directed it. Let's be honest. He probably ghost directed it. All right, so we are going to go on to this one. Okay, so he gets this. James Mangold gets this guy to. Well, James Mangold probably didn't have this guy come to his rescue, but this guy came to James Mangold's rescue. And this guy says, "Don't think about it, James. Keep doing your work. There are more people excited about it, I'm sure. Are there really?" Axeliano, Alex, and don't think about it, James. Keep doing your work. There are more people excited about it, I'm sure. I don't think there are. There's a lot of things going against this movie that people could bring up easily. Charlie Welch is going to give it a shot for nostalgia alone. That's true. Not every movie is an opus, but Crystal Skull was not even a good movie. And if that's if that's the quality that we're going with, because let's be honest here, Harrison Ford is a grandfather. He's old enough to be a great grandfather at this point. So yeah, I don't know. And okay, well, James Mangold comes back and to his cheerleader says, "Thanks, Axe. I don't mind people griping and procrastinating, but on my watch, false info." Not necessarily false info, except for the writing credit, ageism, which that's kind of wrong. It's a real concern for Harrison Ford at this point. He broke his leg, shuffling, or his foot. He broke his foot or his leg shuffling around on the Millennium Falcon set for Star Wars Episode 7. And now we expect he's going to be doing Indiana Jones stuff a couple years after that, like 5 years after that. I don't know. This is not going to be good. I know most of it is going to be stunt guys, like probably 99% of anything that's not Indiana Jones standing around talking is going to be a stunt guy. But come on. Okay. And Snark from So-Called Journalists. I don't think this guy ever claimed to be a journalist. But Snark, welcome to the fucking internet. If you can't take Snark, you don't really belong here if you're going to get your fifis that twisted out of shape over a tweet. He's going to be confronted directly and forcefully. IMO, these clickbaiters like to dish it out, but like Nightcrawlers, can't stand the light. Really? Yeah, I don't know if you can really take it yourself there, James Mangold. I still think Ford versus Ferrari was an awesome movie, though. Okay, so, and we're not even done with that. Let's see. Harrison Ford has saved people lost in the wilderness more than once. Can you imagine being one of those people? You'd think you were hallucinating. Yeah, I probably would. I didn't hear about him saving people from the wilderness, though. I did hear he's crashed his plane more than once. The person who I would freak out about coming to save me randomly, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would hope he would say, "Come with me, you want to leave." Yeah, absolutely he would. Come on, what are you doing? We gotta get out of the woods now. Stop it. Stop whining. There's my Arnold impression for you guys. All right, so we move on to the next page. And Matthew Kaddish comes back and he says, Ford will always be Indy. I agree with that. The issue is whether he's still believable as the character if he's doing crazy action scenes and pushing 80 years old. Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. Because Indiana Jones has got to do crazy stunts. I mean, he can't just like shuffle around like an old man, you know. Casey and I were watching a Liam Neeson movie a few weeks ago. Liam Neeson's like 60 years old, something like that. And he was shuffling around and he had a distinctly old man run. And it was kind of hilarious, but also kind of embarrassing at the same time. And Harrison Ford's not going to be able to do any better. And this is a Liam Neeson we're talking about. I forget what that movie, Honest Thief, was the movie that we watched. But so that's a very good point. James Mangold comes back and he says, "Have you read the script, Matt? Clearly not, because you don't even know who wrote it. So why don't you take a rest on my show till there's a trailer or a title or something for you to be upset about? For all you know, I could be addressing all your worries." Could you, James Mangold? How are you going to address the 78-year-old Harrison Ford issue? I know stuntman and stuff like that, but that's not the same. That is just not the same. Oh, and Fohammer is in the house. Probably best that Johnny doesn't direct a movie. How do you know it would be best that Johnny is not a good director? Yeah, I would watch a movie directed by Mr. Johnny O. Let's see. Rob Parks says, "What about Charlie Sheen?" He'd be like, "Shit." What about Charlie Sheen though? Would you be suggesting Charlie Sheen directed Indiana Jones 5, Charlie, or would you suggest he star in Indiana Jones 5, or at least co-star? Or are you talking about Charlie Sheen rescuing you if you were lost in the woods? Because Charlie Sheen rescuing if you were lost in the woods, I don't know. I think he would be lost in the woods as well, and he would probably be just blazed out of his mind on cocaine. So he may just eat you out of sheer starvation. So I don't think you'd want Charlie Sheen coming to your rescue. Johnny's documentary looks really good, and it's only in beta at this point. Well, you've got an advocate out there for you, Johnny, and you're directing. All right, so Matthew Kaddish comes back and he says, "Sir, I would love it if you proved me wrong and made a great Indiana Jones movie. I've been an Indy fan since I was a kid, and it's one of my all-time favorite franchises. But it's hard to get so excited over what I'm seeing." And I absolutely agree with that. Disney has made some stinkers with Star Wars. And the MCU is, let's be honest, the MCU is starting to go downhill. We'll go into that maybe a little bit more later. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't get the job done. And Harrison Ford, no, it's not good. So James Mangold comes back and he says, "I'm sorry you're finding it hard to get excited about the film I'm making, Matt. Considering you don't, considering you don't know the story, the script, the title, only some of the movie, Okay, only some of the cast. Nor have you seen images. Well, we have seen images. They don't look good. If I were you, I would spend my time flipping hot takes about something that exists. James Mangold's dropping the hammer down on this guy again, man. Wow. He is, a director of his caliber, you'd think has better things to do than engaging with people on Twitter. But I guess not. I guess he's just like, I must white knight my movie, my movie for this guy, against this guy, so people will know how awesome it is. All right, and then from there, let me bring up one more. Oh, that's the last one. Okay. No, it's not the last one. That's wrong one. Okay. It's still more to this this drama. Okay. so the Salty Nerd podcast, which Matthew Kadish is a part of, somebody from the Salty Nerd podcast tweets out, we don't have basements, but we do have a kick-ass studio with a Batman statue. Cool. And James Mangold, who can't resist an opportunity to stamp some noobs on the internet, comes back and says, yeah, that's a kick-ass studio. Congrats on the Batman statue and the jar of corks. So how about you let me finish my film and then bitch all you want about it in front of your vinyl bricks, lit by your fancy bounce light, and maybe don't call opinion news. Damn. James Mangold, you are just tearing these internet nerds all up, getting on their vinyl bricks and the Batman statue. Man, the Batman statue probably is pretty sweet because, Batman's just awesome. The jar of corks, I mean, some people like to collect wine corks, but that's not good enough for James Mangold, I guess. And I don't think Matthew Kadish ever said he was reporting news or anything like that. So this guy, James Mangold, just comes across as super butthurt about his movie. And instead of working on the movie itself, he's just spending all his time in a flame war with somebody on Twitter. He's a fucking Hollywood director, like a successful, big budget movie director. He's directing a movie for one of the most popular franchises in history. And he's just got to go after the guys on the internet. What do you guys think about that? How ridiculous is this that he would spend all his time, James Mangold would spend all this time going after this nerd on Twitter? What are people saying? Batman is overrated. Soups for life. I don't know. If that's true. Casey would definitely have something to say about that. She would fight you. And she would be right to. So, yeah. Some drama going on with Indiana Jones 5. I have to say, from what I've heard about it, it doesn't look good. It's looking like it's going to be one of these bait and switch movies, because really they're not going to have Harrison Ford doing big stunts and stuff like that. It's going to be something where he gives his hat and his whip to his female assistant, and she takes over, which is going to be Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who was the super annoying droid in Solo, and she did like feminist writing for the new James Bond movie. So I can't get excited about that. It's I don't know, I just can't see this going well. Cannot see. Bring it on. At some point, I'm sure there will be a Batman v Superman debate somewhere. I'm sure there's probably a Batman v Superman debate going on right now on somebody's channel. Let's see. Fohammer says DC is overrated. The Boys is where it's at. Are you sure about that? Charlie Welch says, I don't really do the Marvel versus DC thing, as I see them as so different, and everyone likes different things. I like things for both. And that is a good point. There is quite a bit of difference between Marvel and DC, except for certain characters that were ripped off of the other ones. Like Aquaman was a ripoff of Namor. And there were a few others. I'm sure you guys can point them out. But that's one of the big ones, though. Of course, Flash and Quicksilver. Thanos was actually you could probably call him a ripoff of Darkseid. Deadpool started out as basically a Deathstroke clone by Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld didn't give him his most appreciated tricks and trademarks, I guess. Like his wit and his fourth wall breaking. That didn't come from Rob Liefeld. That came later on. So Rob Liefeld gets like credit for creating Deadpool, but nobody cared about Deadpool when Rob Liefeld created him. Yep, the ones I just pointed out, exactly. And talking about Marvel, if you guys seen the Loki show, have you guys seen that? So we're going to talk about Loki for a couple minutes. I didn't really intend on watching Loki because I really haven't been impressed with the clips I've seen from the other shows. The MCU is not doing really well in the Disney Plus streaming TV show situation. And Rob Parks is doing a debate with Nerd Angle about what are you doing the debate about the female Loki and pandering. And Casey has not seen it either. But I was over with my best friend. I was babysitting his sons, and one of his sons threw on the Loki show. He's like, yeah, have you seen Loki? I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really care. But he threw it on anyway. So we watched it. Loki, the first episode of Loki, it's not good. It's kind of sucks. Rob Parks is leaving. Got to run. Observatory tonight. Peace out, everyone. Have fun observing the stars, man. Thanks for stopping by. Oh yeah, Phone Hammer says Casey is here, and she will come at you. She will come at you like a honey badger for your insolence. But yeah, so we decided we were gonna watch the Loki premiere, and you can't spoil it because nothing really happens in the episode. It's super boring. It looks pretty low budget, to be honest, too. There's a lot of really noticeable green screens, like at the beginning where after he uses the cube, this space stone, is it? The Tesseract, the space stone, I think yeah. Whatever. So he uses the Tesseract. He gets transported to the Gobi Desert at the very beginning, and it looks super green screen. Oh, there's Irish Demon. Hello, Irish Demon Begorra. But yeah, he goes to the Gobi Desert, and it's an obvious green screen. It doesn't look good at all. And he gets accosted by the sort of antagonists of the show, the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, and their costumes super low budget as well. It doesn't look like what super advanced people would wear. Their law enforcement attire, I guess that you would call it, because they're basically wearing like a modern day Kevlar helmet that the army would wear, and like some crappy body armor vest. Pretty disappointing. A lot of the show is stuff that we've seen already, because the first couple of minutes are basically showing the ending, or actually not the ending, but sort of the middle of Endgame, where Captain America, Tony Stark, the Hulk, Ant-Man, all those guys are going after the Tesseract and the Spear from the first Avengers movie. So it shows that, lifts it right from the movie. And then we go to the Gobi Desert, and they capture him, make him look like a putz, and take him back to this time variance, headquarters, wherever they belong. And the majority of the episode is spent there. Yeah, let's see. So Irish Demon is interested in joining. So yeah, I'm going to give me just a second. And we're going to bring Irish Demon on to talk for a bit. Okay, so all right, sent to Irish Demon an invite. All right, the Time Variance Authority place that they're at. They kind of talk about Loki and Loki, breaking Loki down and stuff like that. They have this plot hole because the TVA guys, they go after anybody who goes out of line because they have something called a sacred timeline. And if you break the timeline, then they come after you. So obviously that creates a kind of a big plot hole. And yeah. Oh, there is Irish Demon. All right. Irish, are you there? Irish. I could hear like car background noise. I had to take a second to put my headphones on, so if he did start talking, he wouldn't. Oh, I guess we lost him. Okay. Hey, maybe he'll be back in a second. That's okay. All right. Okay, so like I was saying, it creates kind of this big plot hole where the TVA is supposed to come after people who break the sacred timeline because there's these three lizards who supposedly created them to make sure the timeline doesn't get screwed up. Um, but they give this lazy hand waving away to get rid of this plot hole by saying that because of course the Avengers go back and grab the Infinity Stones to stop Thanos and everything like that. So he points that out. Why didn't you stop the Avengers? And they said, well, the Avengers were supposed to go back and do that, which is super lazy, but it doesn't really solve the plot hole because Loki going back, Loki leaving and going into the Gobi Desert. Why are we trying to get rid of the plot hole? Not that plot hole. All right, so Loki going back to the Gobi Desert, breaking the timeline. Because of that, because of him stealing the Tesseract, that forces Tony Stark and Steve Rogers to go back to 1970 to get the Tesseract from earlier in the time period, and they had to get more Pym particles to do traveling through time. So if Loki was not supposed to go to the Gobi Desert, then Tony Stark and Steve Rogers were not supposed to go back to 1970. And Irish Demon's back, so we're going to... Hello, Irish.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes,
How
I
are you
can.
doing?
I am doing well, man.
That's good. That was good timing. I just dropped Jen off to work, and I'm on my way to pick up some paint right now. And I was like, oh, I remembered you were live. I was like, I got to jump on and say hello.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome to stay on as long as you like.
So how's things?
Things are good. Things are good. Have you caught up with any of my Bible Man reviews?
I haven't. Let me tell you this, right? Johnny O even asked me yesterday. He was like, "Oh, hey man, did you see my video the other night?" I was like, "Johnny, I haven't seen shit in weeks. I haven't watched anything. Like, I haven't even watched like just regular TV. Just been so busy. To the point where I was actually really shocked by how little I was able to do on YouTube. Even on my own channel, I haven't put anything up or streamed properly in like 2 weeks now because it's just been so crazy busy getting ready to move back to Ireland and stuff. And been watching like a lot of tutorials. I'm doing my advanced motorcycle course at the moment. I had my test the other day and I failed it. Whoa, what is that? There's something really loud just pulled up next to me. But yeah, so I've been doing my my training, and that's been taking up a huge portion of my time. But yeah, I failed the test the first time around. But apparently that's normal. Everybody fails the advanced test the first time around, so I'm not too bummed out about it. But apparently so. But yeah, it was like I got unlucky, to be fair, with the time. It was raining and cold, and it was right at the end of the day, so I feel like the assessor was probably not in the best mood. So I didn't get looked on favorably, I think, is what happened there.
Yeah, you could be like my buddy and not actually get a motorcycle license and just drive a motorcycle anyway. But
that's what I did in Ireland.
You're probably going about it the right way, though. And
I
suppose you're really busy with the gold mining at the end of the rainbow because you got to keep the gold pot filled.
Absolutely, because I'm the worst leprechaun that ever existed, so I always get caught. And so yeah, I've got to have a pretty good stock of gold like on hand just in case.
I understand. Yeah, you never know when somebody's going to show up at the end of the rainbow.
That's it, man. Any moment it can happen. It's like fucking hell. But so what have you folks been watching on YouTube lately? Have you been keeping up with much stuff, or?
Just watching random stuff. Keeping an eye on the plot hole. The plot hole's doing good work.
Oh, he's doing awesome work. Awesome work.
Yeah, his investigative journalism.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's been fantastic. It's I think the way I felt about it is, as much as I genuinely don't like the drama as it comes, Johnny O's approach to it is refreshing because a lot of it is kind of like bitchy tit for tat stuff. And all that does is generate more and more hate, basically, more and more issues in the community. And when it's like, I mean, we've seen this at large in the media over the past 4 years on both sides. Just lies. Nobody can trust. Nobody can trust the right wing media. Nobody can trust the left wing media. It's like it's just there's so many. It's not even that it's like disinformation or anything. It's more a case of it's like certain people hold a certain belief system and they make things fit that system. If that's about an individual, then it's very easy for them to point the finger and say this person is terrible. We all do it. It's it's human nature. But Johnny approaches it, even though he might hold some bias one way or the other, and I'm sure he'd be the first to admit that as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. We all
He's
have.
really good
biases.
at just getting to the facts. He's really good at just saying, okay, what are the facts? Not what are your feelings. What happened? And that's where Johnny's excellent. And so I think it was, as much as I don't like the drama that comes with all of it, Johnny's approach, it just cut through the shit, got down to the facts, and I think that was the best way to go. It really it made a big difference.
Yeah, Johnny's pretty objective. As far as one can be, we all have our biases.
Oh,
No
yeah.
one's gonna be completely unbiased. But yeah, I'm impressed by his objectivity. And yeah, there's
Absolutely.
just
Same here.
a lot of stuff going on that people can't let go, and it's
Correct.
driving that wedge even further. And that's the big
It
thing,
is.
because the scandal stuff has all come out. We've all got our say, and people don't want to let it go. They want to keep name calling and stuff like that. I see it in the live streams that people were doing. Certain people who just want to lay into people because they feel they were slighted. So they feel that they have been wrong, so they want to take it out, and them taking it out on other people. Not only does it make the people that they take it out on, it makes them resent them, but the people who are watching this on the side now see these other people's activities, and it kind of spreads from there. So
Absolutely. It's like the way I've been looking at it lately is, I've been talking to one person in the community who is getting bullied a little bit. She was being pushed around a bit and that kind of stuff, and we talked about it. And as I said to her, I sympathize with her 100%. And even me, like, I know how quick I am to judge, like, and how quick I am to. No, I don't tend to get angry, but I do when something is really wrong. Like if something really pushes me, then I have to say something. And that was the case the other night with that guy. I won't say the word because I don't want to get your channel in trouble. But so we had a guy on that was saying he was going to go do stuff to kids or whatever, and. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. And then he said he tried to blame me for it. He tried to let on that it was somehow my fault that he wanted to go and harm people. So I hit the roof. I just got really, really angry when he said that. So in my live stream, I got so angry that I actually slammed my table and it ended the stream because I was like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to this. So. Then I got him to come on Discord with me and started calling me a coward. And I got really angry. And afterwards, I kind of had to unwind and assess it and be like, did I take that too far? Did I get too angry? And I was like, fuck no, I didn't get too angry. I think I was the appropriate level. I didn't say anything too bad to him, so I think I was okay. But I think what needs to happen in this community, in the world at large, but certainly in our community, is I wish people would maybe have a bit more of an introspective look on these particular, within the context of these arguments that are going on and the little bitchy fights that are going on. Just look at yourself and ask yourself, what am I doing to make this better, and what am I doing to make this worse? Because I think that's a big problem. Our community, as awesome as it is naturally very cynical and a little bit dark in ways. And so I think it can be hard for us as a group to realize that, we do need to take responsibility for our own words and our own action. I'll give you an example. The other day, I was really wound up over something. I can't remember what it was, and I was at the store, and I'm blind in the left eye, so when I'm in the store, sometimes I cut people off, and it's just, it just happens. I always apologize. It's an accident. And I pulled out in front of a guy in the aisle, and he got angry, and he rammed me with his cart. Not hard, just rammed me a little bit with his shopping cart, and I was like, I'm gonna let that go because I think he just got frustrated. So I left it go, and then I was going around the corner, and he rammed me again, and I'm not lying, man. I hit the fucking roof. I turned around, I was like, I started off fairly calm, and I was like, dude, what the fuck is your problem? And then he got in my face, I got in his face, we were pushing each other, and eventually he put his hand in my face, so I slapped his hand away. I grabbed him, not by the neck, but like by the piece of his sweater around his neck, and I just drove him straight into like a massive display, like a load of shelves or whatever. And
That's pretty
because
crazy.
he shoved me, and then like he put his hand and he touched my face, and I'm like, well, that's the end. And I shoved him up against the thing, and I held his jumper kind of like into his neck or whatever, and I clenched my fist and I said, if you don't back off, I'm gonna fucking knock you out right now. And I meant it, like I meant it. And so he did back off. He did back off, and he walked away. And then I turned around, and there's like loads of the staff in the store there. And I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. Like, this guy he literally just assaulted me for something that I've got no control over. And I apologized, and he assaulted me again. So then he got in my face, and he tried to hit me. So I'm like, and they were like, no, it's cool, man. We saw it all. I think they just didn't want me to go off again. And then, and he was, I could see he was scared, right? Because like I'm not some big tough guy, but when I get angry, and I'm physically I'm a large man, so I guess I probably intimidated him a lot, and I could see he was terrified that I was going to hit him. And when I was driving home in the car, I was so wound up, and eventually the adrenaline wore off, and I was like 5-10 minutes away from the store, and I thought,
Sure.
I was like, oh my God, like that was so ridiculous. Like I could have easily just turned around and be like, come on, man, like we don't need to fight. It's an accident. You know what I mean? I could have.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go to revenge and anger straight away. So I turned the car around. I went back to the store, and the guy was standing outside the store with his wife. And I was like, I started walking towards him, and he froze. And he was like looking around him for like an escape route. And I just put my hands up. I was like, hey man, look, no aggro. Can we just talk for a second? And he looked really confused because that doesn't happen here. Australia is a very like macho, fucking I'm tougher than you kind of world, so they're not used to this.
Oh yeah.
I just stuck my hand out. I was like, man, look, I know you acted in a certain way. I went way too far, and I actually turned back because I had to come back and apologize because it didn't sit right with me the way I acted. I was like, I don't agree with how you acted, but at the same time, my reaction was all no. In hindsight, my reaction really wasn't over the top. If somebody puts their hand in your face, if somebody assaults you, you do what you do to protect yourself. But yeah. So I apologized, and sometimes you gotta swallow your pride. It's not easy to go back after just shouting in front of 100 people and go and apologize for it. But sometimes you just gotta eat it. You just gotta do it, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. And Fohammer 335 wants to know. Was that fight with a spider? Were you fighting with a spider?
Oh no, I wouldn't fight against a spider. Fuck that. Spiders are way too scary, man. Like, I don't know.
Do you have those big ass trapdoor spiders in Australia?
So yeah, they're they're on the other side. Thankfully, we have trapdoor, and then another one that uses a kind of a trapdoor is called the Sydney funnel web. And those things are crazy, man. They are. Wow. Who's got a great story about one of those? PhD Tony has one of the funniest stories. I'll just give you guys a general idea of the story. Basically, the Sydney funnel web spider is one of the most venomous creatures on the planet, and if it bites you, in Australia we're very aware of that kind of stuff. So I mean, you should be okay. but it could kill you. I mean, it can take down an elephant. Like these things
Sure.
they're awesome. The way that they can really fuck you up. And one day Tony was in his backyard.
These are not going to give you spider power. These are not going to give you spider powers if they bite you. Then
oh no, they are going to make you take the room temperature challenge real quick. Yeah, so Tony was in his backyard and his dog was barking, and his dog was cornered by one of these funnel web spiders, right? So Tony, being the absolute testosterone boss that he is, went out to take on this spider, right? So he goes out, he like literally put his life on the line to protect his dog from the spider, and eventually he managed to coax the spider away. He probably made it fall asleep by, telling it how to do math. But so eventually the spider disappeared and the dog was fine. And then he found out afterwards, it turns out that dogs are completely impervious to that venom. So he put his life on the line for nothing. Oh man,
maybe he was one of those giant spiders from The Hobbit, and he pissed it off by insulting J.R.R. Tolkien.
That probably could happen. Like we all know that PhD Tony hates literature, so
yeah. He's got very strong opinions on it. Absolutely,
he sure does. Tony's got strong opinions on everything, and pretty much all of them I respect. Not all of them. I know we butt heads on certain things, but. Yeah, he's Tony's an awesome guy. He really is.
As people are bound to do, yep.
Oh man, yeah, his level of knowledge is it's phenomenal, really. I mean, like, I was so proud of myself the other night trying to figure something out because I'm really bad at mathematics, and so you know how the vacuum of space is 10 to the negative 17 torr, which is a positive number, but a really, 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 really tiny fraction of 1, right? So this guy said that space is 17 torr. And I spent probably, I would say, 3 hours trying to figure out, like, what fraction of that was. I don't even know how to explain it. That's how bad I am. Basically, I was trying to figure out how much off the guy was, and he was like, 1,700 billionths of what it actually is, or something like that. It took me hours to figure that out, and I was like, I better check this with Tony. So I messaged him. I was like, gave him the equation in my own words, and he just instantly had the answer, like immediately. He just did it in his head. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? That took me hours, man, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I would have given up on that in like 2 minutes. I'd be like, nah, that's too much. Fuck it.
Yeah, it was rough, yeah, but yeah, it's still fun though.
Yeah, man. Did you catch any of the Indiana Jones 5 drama that I was talking about a little bit earlier at the beginning of the stream?
I didn't even know there was a 5th Indiana Jones. I thought there was only like 2, to be honest. I'm really bad with movies. I get ripped on. I get mocked every Sunday on the Beardsman because they'll mention an actor or a movie or a TV show, and I'm like, or they'll say some reference, and they'll all start laughing, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I'm so bad with movies and movie trivia. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 Indiana Jones movies. 3. There's only 3.
So
you may see. Yeah, you may see online that something about a 4th movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That doesn't actually exist. That's an urban legend. But there are 3 movies. They're fucking awesome. They're making a 4th movie. Harrison Ford is 78 years old. He's older. I think he's like 2 months older than Joe Biden at this point. And this is a big action movie franchise that they're making. Kathleen Kennedy is producing, who's done nothing but bad things for Star Wars in the past 5 years. And the director of the new movie, which the first 3 movies were directed by Steven Spielberg in his prime, so they're pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He's not directing it anymore, but there was this post on Twitter. This, for all intents and purposes, he's a nobody podcaster. I'm not saying he's bad or anything like that. I've never really listened to him, but as far as like subscribers and watch, watches he gets, it's not really all that impressive. Not that I am, but he posts this tweet about the points against the movie, about Harrison Ford being 78 years old and Steven Spielberg not directing, Kathleen Kennedy, and the director of the movie, James Mangold, who is a quality director. He's a good director. He's directed a lot of good stuff. Gets in this flame war with this guy, like super butthurt about this guy like picking on his movie. And I'm like, why would you do that? So
why would you waste your time?
Yeah, this guy's like beginning to make his $150 million movie. I'm guessing. I don't know what the budget is. It's something ridiculous though. It's got to be at least $150 million. He's making a huge movie. And he's wasting his time. He's like, it probably is one day off, and he spends it all day on Twitter going after this guy who's done nothing but post his opinion. And it's gonna follow the movie the entire way through, and it's gonna be another hurdle because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was not well received at all. It came out about 12 years ago or so, and it has the problems that this fifth one is having, although Steven Spielberg did direct it, but at this point he's kind of past his prime also.
How old is Spielberg now?
Spielberg, I don't know, he's in his 70s too.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So yeah, this is gonna put people in a bad frame of mind about this movie, and it's in its first week of production. So I was going over the flame war, the tweet flame war that was going on.
And it's like it's already a bad time for movies, because of COVID and stuff. So it seems kind of silly to get involved in. So and that actually goes back to kind of what I was saying, like these kind of trivial arguments. It's like, what's the fucking point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, especially when you're making a multi-million-dollar movie, who cares?
Yeah. If you're like an award winning, or I don't know what awards he's won. I'm sure he's been nominated for like Oscars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Casey. Steven Spielberg is 74 years old.
Oh, that makes sense. I don't understand why people who are that, high up in the world would give a shit. Like, it's like Elon Musk, right? Like, so Thunderfoot and a few other people rag on Elon Musk, and that's fine. I don't dislike them for it. But do you think Elon Musk gives a flying shit what those guys are saying? Of course he doesn't. He's got a fucking spaceship, multiple spaceships, and they ain't got none. So I don't think Elon Musk is bothered, It's like,
Yeah, and Thunderfoot, he's got at least 500,000 subscribers, maybe close to 1 million at this point, and he's still nothing compared to Elon Musk. And this guy on Twitter should have been nothing to James Mangold, because James Mangold, I am pretty sure he's an Oscar-nominated director, if not Oscar-winning director. He's done some great movies. I haven't actually seen Logan, but he directed Logan. He directed Ford versus Ferrari, which I did see, which I mentioned earlier, which is a great movie. By the way, if you haven't seen that, definitely watch that movie. Several other movies, but this is not gonna win him any fans.
Oh yeah, no, it's just it automatically puts a bad taste in people's mouth, and I think people would be much more critical of the movie, knowing that this kind of shit was going on in the background. It's like, it's really easy to, like, if somebody showed me a painting and I was asked to critique it, and I would just critique it not knowing who painted it. But then if they said that, Tom, the guy that lives down the end of my street that lets his big Rottweiler shit on our lawn, painted it, I'm going to look at it and pick out all the flaws, you know what I mean? It's like, I think it's normal. But, it's just pettiness. And I think it's a lot of it is a product of social media and stuff,
Yeah. Yep. It is, and it's just the way things are going on Twitter now, and really, Lucasfilm is owned by Disney now, and Disney is not doing themselves any favors at all. There's a lot of negativity towards Disney now for some of it for good reasons. Some of it for absolutely good reasons.
Like, I completely, unequivocally hate Disney. It's a shame because, like most of us, I grew up on Disney and I loved their stuff when I was a kid. But I can't reconcile with their attitude towards the Uyghur Muslims in China. I just can't. I can't overlook that. It doesn't matter if it's a Star Wars movie and I'm a Star Wars fan. I will not watch it because of the situation in Western China with the Uyghur Muslims. So I just completely refuse to watch anything by Disney.
Yeah, they've done all kinds of stuff. They've not gotten any favors over their handling of Gina Carano.
That was another big one. Yeah. Exactly.
They've been calling out for doing stuff that hypocritical stuff because they talk a lot about this woke shit. They've been really getting into the woke shit and saying about how like we love minorities and all that, and then they go and they remove or shrink John Boyega in the Star Wars poster trailers for China.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If they really cared and if they wanted to show people that they really cared about minorities and if they really cared about Black lives and all the rest of it, they would put John Boyega front and center in those pictures.
Yes.
And they would show the whole world that, okay, we're going to lose a couple of $1 billion because China won't like having a black guy on the poster. Fine, fuck them. And that's the way it should be. Don't turn around and fucking dictate to me about wokeness and their critical race agenda that they're running, which is an extreme version, and then turn around and shrink the only fucking black guy in the movie because Chinese people don't take as well to it as people in the Western world would. It's just it's all. I've got friends. I've got a lot of friends that live in China. A lot of Irish people go to China to teach English. And they say it straight up. They're like, it's an incredibly racist country. Like, it really is. Like, and the thing that kills me about the Western woke ideology is they think that now they're saying that Asian people are not people of color because they get the same benefits as white people. I'm like, have you ever fucking been to Asia? Have you ever been to Hong Kong? If you go to Hong Kong, you will see a lady walk down the street with a handbag worth more than a house, and then you'll see another guy that hasn't got a pot to piss in. And you're going to tell me that just because somebody's Asian that they get some kind of special magic benefits. It's outrageous.
They say Asian is a form of white. But you know what's the ridiculous thing though? It's the stupid thing is they put all this pandering in China. Especially for Star Wars. Star Wars is nothing in China. The Chinese people don't fucking watch those movies.
Yeah, they don't like American movies. They don't like if you have a look at the top charts in China, one of the biggest shows ever made in China was called Big Daddy. I think it's Dada Gao, I think is the name of the TV show. And I'm just going to say it straight, and I know my Asian friends won't mind me saying this. Chinese movies and TV is really, 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 really corny. And it's just that's just the way it is. It's just the truth. It's just really corny. And that's what they like. And, more power to them. If that's what you enjoy, then fucking go for it.
They do actually like American movies though. They just don't like the ones that are pandering. They don't like the ones that are trying to appease the Chinese customer. They like big American movies with American movie stars and stuff like that. They don't want movies that try and evoke some kind of Chinese message or something like that because, like you said, they've got their own movie industry.
Absolutely. And the average person in China. My friend Dave has been working and living there for a very long time, and he was saying how the average person in China will do and generally believe what the Chinese Communist Party tell them to, because it's just part of their, it's just how they're brought up. It's just that's the way they
Yep.
live.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
on an interpersonal level, Chinese people are serious critical thinkers. They're complete realists in China. They don't set themselves up for failure by having these outlandish ideals. The reality of it, like when you look at West, I cringe, man. I cringe when I look at, young, wealthy white liberals telling everybody that they're oppressed. And then I've got so many friends who are considered oppressed. I turn around and go, I'm not
Yeah.
fucking oppressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not to
Yeah.
suggest that there aren't oppressed people. Of course. I didn't realize that racism was what it was until I moved to Australia. I grew up in a country that's 99% white. So I didn't see it. I didn't experience it. Then I moved to Australia and I found out what real, genuine racism is. I mean, people that I worked with were so racist. And I was like, you people are fucking crazy. What? I was like, you think I'm going to stop that guy from going into a club just because he's Aboriginal? And they're like, oh, yeah, man, they always cause trouble. I'm like, yeah, but like, you can't. I was like, that police officer over there is Aboriginal. Like, I don't, what's the. And yeah, man. And if they say you can't be racist against white people. Let's not call it racism. Let's call it xenophobia. For me, when I walk into a store, I don't get followed because I'm white. That's the reality, and I accept that. I think white privilege is thrown around way too
Yeah.
much.
Man,
But the
that's shit.
reality is, if I walk into a store in a looking smart with a pair of jeans and a shirt, I'm not going to get followed around. An Aboriginal guy could go in there dressed the exact same way as me. He will get followed around in Australia. That is the real reality of it. And I acknowledge that. I know that when I go to rent a house, I got a better chance of getting it because I'm white than an Aboriginal person does. It's the same in Ireland for Irish travellers, gypsies. It's the exact same thing.
Sure.
If me and a gypsy had every single thing the same about us, I would get it because I'm not a gypsy. That's the way it is over there. Um, Over
Crazy.
here, the racism is unbelievable. If you get into an argument with somebody here, it immediately goes to your race, your ethnicity. Like if I got into a fight with somebody, they wouldn't call me a fat prick. They'd call me a fat Irish prick. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And so that really opened my eyes to the reality that a lot of people experience every day. But at the same time, I'm a realist about it. I've got black friends who are literal millionaires who came. I've got one friend who comes from Compton. And when he got to 18, he said, right, fuck this. He left Compton, just jumped on a train, went to another town where he had a friend living that he had met online, got a job, and then eventually he actually moved to Ireland. And he's got a really successful, he does like professional auto spraying, painting, and stuff like that. And he's a millionaire
That's
now.
good.
And it's just like,
Wow.
if somebody keeps telling you you're a victim, you're just this lower class individual. You're never going to get anywhere because of the white man or because of blah, 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 blah. Well, what does that do? I mean, if you tell a child constantly, oh, you're
Yeah.
useless because of this reason, because of your skin color, because of your gender, because of your sexual identity, it's like
Yeah. That's
they're going
that
to
critical
grow
race
up
theory shit.
thinking, exactly, man, they're going to grow up thinking, oh, I'm fucking worthless. The whole community thinks I'm worthless. So now I need this special treatment in order to do well. No, don't be an asshole. Work fucking hard and you'll do well. Maybe you won't. That's just life. That's just the way life is. You know what I mean? Life deals us all shitty
Yeah.
cards sometimes. It's
It was getting to the
I
point. It was
yeah,
getting to the
sorry,
point
what?
in the West. It was getting to the point in the West where we have overcome so much, and life is really good in the West. It's not perfect for everyone, but
Yeah,
people need to find something to fight against. They need to find something that's bad, but they don't have anything really bad, so they gotta bring up this shit that shouldn't be a thing. Things that
absolutely right. Like I'll give you another example. I was on this Facebook group. It was just like a kind of a fun, kind of pretty based Facebook group, and it was a really good example of how society naturally addresses issues of racism or sexism or any of these things, right? A few people will go into that group thinking that we're all crazy right-wing white nationalists or whatever, and they would post crazy right-wing white nationalist stuff, and people would be like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. We don't want that shit here. And then you would get people who are really, really, really far to the left would post like leftist memes. And look, all my beautiful friends on the left, you guys can't meme. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry, nobody wants to read a meme that's 4 pages long. But and then they would also be told, get the fuck out of here with this shit. And it turned out eventually, I had a photograph of myself up on it. And all it was we were joking about, somebody made a joke about flat Earth. And I was like, oh, cool. So I posted a picture of me next to a kangaroo sign, but I turned it upside down. So I was like, see, proof I'm upside down in Australia. And in the picture, you can see my tribal tattoos on my forearms. And they're Celtic tribal tattoos that have actual relevance to my people, because the images on my tattoos literally come from rock carvings from where my family are from where my clan are from. And somebody screenshotted it and put it on this super woke Facebook group that I actually also happen to be a member of to laugh at. And so they put it on there, and somebody's like, can we please find out who this guy is and where he works? I'm going to get his ass fired. Who does he think he is, appropriating tribal culture? And I commented on it. I was like, I put up photos of my tattoos. I was like, these are my tribal tattoos. And I am an Irishman whose people come from the deep west of Ireland. I'm 100% Irish, Celtic. This is my tribe. These are my people. This is my culture. And the Irish tribal culture is very much alive. It really is. And I was like, do you not see how fucking racist you are? That because you see something that looks tribal, that it must be some, tribe in Papua New Guinea or Maori or one of those other tribes. I was like, do you not see the double standard here? And then you know what her response was? She couldn't accept that she was just wrong. She just couldn't accept and go, oh shit, my bad, and then delete it, right? So she turned around to me saying, well, Irish people need to abandon their tribal identity because of marginalized tribal people in the world don't get to express their tribal identity. I was like, so you're telling me you want to kill a minority identity because other minority identities have been taken out? I was like, okay, all right, when are you going to join the Gestapo, you crazy bitch? And eventually she did delete it.
Because your minority is not the right color.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter that our people for 800 years were enslaved, were murdered constantly between about 1845 and 1855. They killed half of our population. It was a literal genocide in my country, the effects of which we still feel today. I had to walk to school every day past a famine house, which was where the British kept people who were dying and allowed them to slowly die in there. I walk past that every single day. My grandmother had aunts and uncles that died in the famine. So anybody who and I will just say, it wasn't a famine; it was a genocide. They were murdered. There was plenty of food in Ireland. It was taken out of it by the British Crown and sent to the colonies as food for soldiers. So it was a genocide. Our language was taken from us. Our sports were taken from us. Our culture, our history was taken from us. Our sacred sites were knocked down. Our people were spread to the four corners of the world. That's why there's more people in this country with my last name than there are in Ireland, because we all had to leave during the genocide. That's why the whole eastern seaboard of the United States, that's why Boston talks like that. You know what I mean? So our people got spread everywhere. Are we lucky that we happen to have white skin, which makes it a bit easier on us? Yes, I acknowledge that 100%. But to suggest that the Irish people had an easy run of it, not just us, Chechens, Georgians, Azerbaijanis, loads of white people that got a really fucking Polish. The Polish people are some of the most marginalized people in history. They were attacked by fucking Napoleon, by the Germans twice, by Russia about 8 times. It's like, come on, man. Just quote Joe Biden. Come on, man.
Yeah, and then the Germans and the Russians at the same time.
At the same time, and then the Americans used it as a test bed for weapons. It's like, come on. Like, you got to be shitting me. Like, I mean, I get it. Look, I know that racism is a big problem in this world. I acknowledge that. I stand against it strongly. I don't give a fuck what color you are, what your race or ethnicity or religion or sexual orientation or sexual identity, your gender identity. I don't care. If you're a good person, then I'll love you anyway. It makes no difference to me what you look like or who you are inside. But when it comes down to it, if I say to people, I will be friends with whoever I want to be friends with, and I don't give a shit what color they are, automatically that makes me racist somehow. I'm told that that's racist. Being colorblind is racist. So you're telling me that I have to?
Yeah, that's what we should strive to, because that's what we should strive to, because focusing on this racial issue, segregating like they've been trying to do is making things worse. We were damn close in the United States to getting rid of it completely, until this CRT and this woke stuff started happening again. Man, it is cultural appropriation bullshit, which is that's not a thing, and
like that went way too far. I mean, some of it I can be like, oh, okay, I get. Some of it I agree with, right? Like people wearing Native American headdresses and stuff. I'd be kind of like, if I saw that, I wouldn't be like, oh, excuse me, you need to remove that. I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't choose that. That's a bit, I say fair enough with that, right? Fair enough. Or people dressing up as Chinese people. I'm not talking about wearing Chinese clothing or wearing in Japanese culture, wearing a kimono or whatever. Not at all. But actually, like, you know what I mean? Certain types of makeup and stuff. That kind of stuff, fine, right? I get it. But if I was told a couple of weeks ago that it's racist, it's not racist to eat tacos, but it's racist for me to sell tacos. If I wanted to set up a taco stand, that would be racist. It would be cultural appropriation. I'm like, what? And then Vice, I don't know what the fuck happened to Vice. Vice used to be the best. Vice used to be right down the middle, awesome. But now it is a cesspool. And they put up a thing the other day about how veganism is appropriation of something or other. And I was like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Veganism is not eating animal products. How the fuck is that appropriation of anything? Oh, it just makes me so angry, man.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And then, have you heard of the horseshoe theory?
Oh yeah. It's kind of like the uncanny valley, at a community level, where in order to fix something, you essentially make steps, but end up bringing it back to where it originally was, or worse. Is that what?
It's kind of like the two poles, the two ends of the spectrum. The farther they go from the center, the more alike they are, and you can make some arguments for and against that. But I feel pretty strongly like the far right and the far left have a lot of fucking in common, just different sides of the same coin.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're 100% right there. I mean, the issue. I think if we're looking at it from the United States perspective, the issue isn't necessarily whether they're on the right or the left. The issue is authoritarianism. That's the problem. It's just two different types of authoritarians, right? Like, if somebody is a true, you can call it a classical liberal, or in my case, I am liberal. My views, for the most part, are on the left of politics. Like, my views on sexual identity, gender identity, sexuality. I'm pro-choice. I don't like that. I don't like the idea of it. It sucks that anybody would feel that they would have to do it. It's awful. But I am pro-choice. You know what I mean? All of my views. I come from a fairly socialist country. Ireland is a very socialist country in a lot of ways, and it worked for us. It works for our type of community. Our historical military leaders that gave us back our country were all socialists, and you know. So my views in that respect are very far to the left. But then other views that I hold, I would be considered laterally Hitler by a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I believe 100% that every single human being on this planet, regardless of your gender, color, anything, has the absolute right to protect themselves. It doesn't matter who they are. If somebody's trying to assault or kill you, you should have the right to protect yourself. In Australia, if you came and assaulted me and I hit you back, I will go to jail too. It's the same in Ireland. It's like you have no right to defend yourself anymore. And that view by some people will be considered a far right extremist view. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. Protecting somebody's life? Really?
Yep.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, I am on paper probably kind of like a libertarian because I agree with a lot of like their views and stuff like that, but maybe slightly left of center. I think is that
yeah,
I've got a lot. I've got very liberal views on drug policies. I think they should all be legal,
same.
just
Yep,
heavily
same.
regulated. But I'm
Yep.
also in favor of the Second Amendment. I'm in favor of people owning guns.
Yep,
Like
same
you,
here.
I'm pro-choice. Um, but I'm alt right though. Apparently, like if I was going to talk
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
like I was going to talk
Yeah,
to like
I'm the same.
a super lib, yeah, I would be alt right. I'd be
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like the issue is not so much that people's views have changed. People like you and I'm a small L libertarian as we're called, which is that I believe in personal freedom. I believe that
sure,
if I grow a potato and I want to sell you a potato, I shouldn't have to give a fucking dime of that to the government. If I grow a
sure,
potato on government-owned land, then fine. And that's okay. And I'm okay with taxes. I'm not anti-tax. I get why they're necessary, but I'm against inheritance tax, for example.
sure.
I'm against ridiculous taxes. Like if I build a motorcycle, which is something that I'm working on at the moment, if I build a motorcycle and I go to register that motorcycle, I'm saying to the government that I want to put this motorcycle on your roads that all is paid for. Should I pay tax for that? You're damn right I should, because I'm going to be using the road like everybody else. But
Sure.
when they add all of these increased tax and you need to make a builder's tax, why the fuck do I need to pay a tax for me to build a motorcycle for me? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
And the issue is not that people's views have changed. The majority of people, whether they realize it or not, are libertarians. We all like personal freedoms. We all like to be able to do our own thing and allow people to do their own thing as long as they don't hurt each other. And the issue isn't that view system has changed. The issue is that the Overton window has shifted. What is considered left, like far left even 20 years ago, is considered alt-right now.
Yep.
It's like it's just shifted so much. Like it's pretty extreme that if I was to go to a pretty conservative country like Poland or Russia or Italy or Spain or like Hungary or Bulgaria, and if I was to tell them what my views were, I would be called an extreme left critical race activist. But then if I was to go to Oakland or Portland, I would be considered laterally Hitler. Like, I mean,
Yep.
it's bizarre. I think the only genuinely reasonable view to hold is a centrist view to some extent. It's okay to have a complete strong viewpoint on certain issues. Like one of my best friends in the world is incredibly strong on pro-life. Like he's not religious. He wasn't indoctrinated by parents. His parents are very liberal. He's very liberal. He's gay. He's actually in a civil partnership with a black guy. You know what I mean? So he's not like you wouldn't look at that guy and go, oh my God, he's super far right. But he is pro-life. But at the same time, he acknowledges that there are situations where it's absolutely necessary to save, a woman's life, or there's certain scenarios. and he's good with that because I think any reasonable person would be. And he's considered, again, laterally Hitler. He may as well have an SS uniform on, according to some people.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really sad.
There's a big problem with these people because they think that if we disagree on one or two things, then you're just a terrible person. Like they will literally demonize you.
Oh yeah, they try to make you lose your job.
Yeah. For minor disagreements, like they disagree with you on a religious views or something like that. And this cancel culture is fucking out of hand.
Oh, it's outrageous. It's because it's so easy these days. Like before the rise of the internet to the level it's at now, if somebody tried to go to your workplace and say, "Hey, Dave over there said something naughty in a room one day," and then they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of my store." You know what I mean? They wouldn't. But nowadays, because everybody that looks it up can see it, it's so easy, and people are terrified to say or do literally anything. I mean, and the other thing about it as well that bothers me is, like, I was called, what was I called recently? Oh yeah, I was called transphobic a while ago. Because
of course.
Yeah, exactly, right? And this trans lady that I know wanted to come on my show. And we've spoken a few times online and over the phone or whatever, and she's a lovely lady, really just a genuinely beautiful person. But I asked her, like, what would you like to talk about on the show? And she was like, "Oh, I don't know." And I was like, "Okay, well, look, if you have a topic that you want to go with, well, let's do it." And then all of a sudden I got a message saying, that was kind of transphobic. I was like, what? What was what the fuck? I thought somebody said something transphobic in the chat room. And I was like, "What? Who said something transphobic?" And this person, not her, but another person was like, "You did." I was like, "Excuse me? What? What the fuck did I say? I thought, please tell me I did accidentally misgender her or something." And that happens. And she was like, no, you should have just brought her on the show. I was like, "Yeah, I said I would once we had something to talk about, because it's a show, right?" She's like, "Yeah, but trans people don't get a voice." And I'm like, "Yeah, and I'm completely aware of that and willing to give her a voice as soon as we have something to talk about." That goes for everybody. That's the
thing with these people is they think they're entitled. There's this entitlement mentality. And there's nothing stopping people. Like, no one gave me this YouTube channel. I had to create it myself. I had to, make my own content, build my own channel, and people want to talk to me after hearing what I have to say on other things. But nobody came out and say, "Hey, do you want me to build you a YouTube channel?" There's nothing from stopping that person from speaking.
Absolutely. And the thing is, she's a really, really nice person and lovely to speak to. And I'm like, as soon as you have something that you're passionate about that you'd like to speak about, let's fucking do it. And her response was, "Sounds great. I'll get back to you." She has gotten back to me since, and we are going to be doing a show soon. But this other person who isn't trans, she's just she's a lovely girl and everything, but she's like really super lib, and she took offense on that person's behalf, even though that person wasn't offended. And here's the thing,
they got to be offended for people.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, I've had multiple trans people on my channel, and I'm actually working on a documentary right now with a trans person back home, a person called Dara. And Dara, before transitioning, was really famous in Ireland for being the singing taxi driver, and was on a TV show back there, and we've known each other for a very long time. And Dara transitioned late in life, and she's probably in her 50s now, and only started transitioning this year, last year. And we're going to be doing a documentary together about the difficulties of that, having a lifetime of, testosterone and how that affects transition. And it's going to be a really interesting topic. And I'm like, that's the point that I'm trying to make. I want to make documentaries, and I want to make documentaries about interesting people. You having a specific sexual identity or you having a specific gender identity in and of itself is not overly interesting. And I don't mean that to be nasty or disparaging to anybody, But if you can tell me about specific issues that you've had with your transition, or has it had an effect on you mentally, positively, negatively? How has your family been affected? How do your family treat you? Did it affect your work? Did it affect your lifestyle in general? That's the kind of stuff people want to see, not just people coming on and going, "Yay!" You know what I mean? It's like, no, we want the stories, the
Yeah.
good, the bad, the ugly, about everybody. Nobody watches a documentary unless it's interesting. And that's the reality. Like, if you were to make a documentary 10 or 20 years ago about people, just regular people, just regular transitions, that would have been super interesting 10 or 15 or 20 years ago because it wasn't as common. Nowadays, thankfully, people are comfortable in being able to transition openly, and it just means that the stories are relevant. Of course, they're relevant, but they're not super interesting to people. We want to learn about the difficulties, the issues that these people face, especially in the case of Dara, transitioning, being, from being a big burly bloke and then transitioning later in life, and how difficult that is. And
Sure.
that's the kind of story that is important, and we need to learn about how that feels for people. So yeah, there's a big difference there, and I think that just because somebody is trans doesn't it make it automatically a fascinating story. You know what I mean? The same as
Right.
me going through all sorts of shit that I go through. A lot of people probably think it's really, really boring. It's just the way it is now,
Yep.
and that's and that's it. And here's the thing: that might sound mean, it might sound a bit cold, but the reality is that's a fucking good thing, because it means that
Yeah.
people are comfortable in their lifestyles. They're comfortable and feel a bit safer. I get it; it's not completely normal and safe for people now. It's still difficult, but it's a lot easier than it used to be, and that's a great thing. That is a great thing. But growing up in a
Yeah.
small little town in Southern Ireland is a different world, different world. So I'm looking forward to doing that documentary. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And that's what people should be doing. They should be doing, just showing them as regular people, and not like telling people about how all they're victims and they're so oppressed and stuff like that. Because that's not going to do anything to help. Going back to
Exactly.
your comment about the internet, people are uh, the internet has made people so thin skinned. A big
Oh man,
reason I think is because of ignore and block buttons. People are so comfortable with their echo chambers and not being challenged, not hearing opinions that they don't agree with, that when they do hear them, they don't know how to fucking handle it and they lose their fucking minds.
exactly right. You're 100% right. A lot of it as well, I think, is that it's so accessible. I said this to a guy the other day, and I didn't say it in a tough guy way. That's not my style. I look. If you look at me, I'm a big guy. And this isn't me, blowing my own trumpet or anything. I'm a big guy. I'm physically very capable. I'm, just a big, burly, strong bloke. So people tend to not say things to my face, right? And I'm not an aggressive person. If you met me out on the street, I smile at everybody. I say hello to everybody. I'm good to people. I love people. But people wouldn't get quick with me because they know, I'm a big fucking guy. They're not gonna, you don't fuck with a big guy. And I said it to a guy on the internet the other day who was giving me grief or whatever. And I said, look, man, I'm not trying to be a tough guy here or anything, but just ask yourself seriously, would you say that to my face? And what I mean by that is not, oh, come and say it to my face. What I mean by that is, if you and I were sitting in a pub together and I said what I said, would you respond that way, or would you like? I'll tell you what it was. Basically, it was about motorcycle helmets, right? So in Australia and in the US, you can ride with a skull cap, which is like a pretty useless helmet, but it's legal. Um, and they look good, and that's why guys like me who ride, choppers and stuff like to wear them. Right? That's just I'm going to be honest. It's complete
Sure.
vanity. And I just asked the question on an Irish motorcycle group page. I was like, "Hey guys, can anybody tell me if this helmet is legal in Ireland? Not if you like them, not how you feel about them." And most people were like, "Yes, they're legal, but I wouldn't advise wearing one." And I appreciate it. That's fine. Thank you. But then one guy was like, "Man, if you're going to wear this, then you're a fucking idiot." And I was like, "Look, it's my choice what helmet I want to wear. All I asked is if it's legal or not." And so he went off calling me a moron and calling me an idiot and some other words. And that's when I said it to him. I was like, dude, you wouldn't say that to my face. And I don't mean that in a come and fucking say it to my face kind of a way. I mean it in that, like, if you and I were in a pub and I said to you, oh, hey, man, like, do you know if these helmets are legal here? You'd probably say, oh, yeah, they're legal, but I probably wouldn't wear one, you know, like normal human conversation. You wouldn't
Sure.
just call me an idiot because you get decked. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way the real world is, you know? And yeah, I think people forget that, like, there are real world consequences for stuff sometimes.
Yeah, there is this quote that's coming to mind. I'm totally going to butcher it. It's a Conan quote from Robert E. Howard, where he says that barbarians are truly more civilized than the civilized man, because if the civilized man said something to the barbarian, then he would get his skull split.
Exactly.
I
Like,
totally butchered that though.
there's an ancient, a really old Irish phrase. I can't remember what it is in Irish. It's in Old Irish, but basically what it says is, "Don't let your mouth break your nose." So in other words, don't say something stupid and you won't get your nose broke. That was the kind of.
That's,
But
yeah, that's good advice.
it's it's good advice, because like I've seen it where people have said shit online and they said it to the wrong guy and the wrong guy is rocked up. I was working in a bar one time over here, and some guy got into it with a biker on Facebook. And I don't know if you're familiar with we call them bikies over here, but the bike motorcycle clubs in Australia. These motherfuckers don't mess around. They're
Yeah.
not like I've seen a lot of videos in the US where it's like, oh, me and my brothers. It's like, yeah, whatever. You fucking, wanna be Hell's Angels and stuff. The guys over
yeah.
here are real motherfuckers. They don't play around over here. And like
We have
Aussie
those
bikies
guys.
are. Sorry,
We
what?
have those guys. We have those guys here, but those guys, the one percenters, as they call them, are not
Yeah.
the ones who brag about how hard and how badass
Exactly.
they are, because they don't
Exactly.
need to.
You get a lot of the smaller clubs and stuff that are genuinely MCs and 1% clubs, but they're just like nobodies really. They're just kind of feeder groups and stuff. But over here, the MCs are legit. And we were working in a bar one time, and this guy was like, "Huh, this guy thinks he's so tough. He says he's in the Rebels, which is the biggest club here. He's like, he says he's in the Rebels. He's just a poser." And I was like, "What did you say to him?" And he's like, "Oh, he said something to me, so he took one of the pictures of the guy's partner and edited in some stuff and put it on Facebook." And I was like, "Give me a look at his page." So I looked at his page. I was like, "Yeah, I know that guy. He is in the Rebels." I was like, "So," and he was like, "Oh, he said he was going to come down here." Ha ha ha. I was like, "All right. Well, and man, I'm not kidding. Probably 40 minutes later, about 7 or 8 Harleys rocked up outside." I was like, "You're on your own. You're on your own, motherfucker. I'm out of here." And eventually we calmed down. Like,
Yeah, I don't care who you are. That's gonna fuck her a butthole.
oh yeah, man. I tell you what, like 5 or 6, and these boys in the MCs over here are all enormous fucking Neanderthal looking fuckers. Like they all train super hard. They're all like a lot of them train at the UFC gyms, and they're all like real man beasts. And so I'm like, "You're on your own, dude." But eventually the boss managed to calm it down a bit, and it was all good. But they scared the shit out of him, and that stopped that from happening ever again.
Nice.
But yeah. But anyway, I've got to get out of here soon, because I'm just waiting to go into the paint store. I'm doing
Sure.
a custom paint job on a helmet, so I've gotta go soon. But are you staying on for much longer, or?
No, actually, I'm probably gonna call it a night anyway, because it's just about 2 hours. It's probably a good place
Sounds
to
good,
stop
man.
for the night, I think. We should collaborate on something though, for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I had an issue with my YouTube channel last night where I didn't have the option to upload or go live. I was supposed to go live with who was I going to go live with last night? Skeptic Dank, and unfortunately I couldn't. But I'm going to have him on, I think, Sunday or Monday. If you'd like to come along as well, that'd be cool. We can have a conversation.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
he's got some
let me come
pretty.
along.
He has some fairly extreme political views, so I think it'd be cool to have a conversation. That'd be really awesome.
Sure. And if you want to come back on, we should do a stream where we talk about movies where I like introduce you to
Sounds
some
good.
of the good movies or something like that, get you up to speed or
Sounds
something.
awesome. Sounds awesome. I'd
Sure.
love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on, man. It was an absolute pleasure, and I hope everybody watching has a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yes, thank you, Demon, and thank you,
My
everyone,
pleasure.
for stopping by. But yeah, I think that's probably a good place to stop for the night, and really appreciate everyone coming out, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll definitely do it again sometime. I want you all to give me some suggestions for some new videos I should put out. So I'm looking to maybe do something a little bit different. Maybe someone suggested earlier today that I review some Goosebumps episodes. So I don't know what you guys would think about that, but maybe enough people think it's a good idea. I might give it a try. So with that, I'm going to call it a night, and we'll talk to you more soon.